1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and a 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and a 1 is there. 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You want me to break down the Jeopardy part? Yes. Okay. I face you. I'm here. And the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right over. 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6. She said, stay, 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 stay. Stay, stay, stay. I get my job faster? Yes. Okay, here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, and 8, and a 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, and 8, and a 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, question. Yes.
Are all these like notes or initials or are they different? It's like build stick or like.
I was thinking more of the so fast. So the first one you're like, dance. Second one you're like, have somewhere to go. Yeah? Can we try it again? I'll try it again. Any questions? Okay, here we go. Yes? 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, and 8, and a 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, and 8, and a 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try it. Or do you want me to show you? Okay.
So basically, I'm just gonna ask you a few like questions about like clarifying moves and like your intention behind the moves.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna ask you, specific questions about the class itself.
Okay.
Okay. The first one is, what were you saying when you said like "kank daddy" or something?
Oh, like, was it like, should I say stick? Oh, cat daddy.
Yeah, yeah.
So in like social dance, there is this cat daddy, which is like a very like casual dance, which is like you basically make it look like you're in a wheelchair. So I wanted to, in a sense, replicate that, and like 2 moves are just moving my arms in the same motion. So kind of like adapting it, but not actually doing it. So it's like my interpretation of it. Yeah.
So kank daddy.
Cat daddy. CATDADDY. Like it's like a whole like YouTube like sensation. Yeah.
Okay, second question. Feel means like a freestyle movement when you're like the students can do whatever they want.
Oh yeah, yeah. So feel is what we call is like dancer's choice. So you literally feel the music and your body just kind of I guess orchestrates that. So you feel like however you feel, you move in that manner.
Are they supposed to feel or touch their body while doing that?
You can. I mean, it depends on the dancer. Some people, I mean, I like to touch my hair a lot. Some people do. Some people, kind of stay away from touching themselves. But it's totally fine either way. It's dancer's choice. So.
Okay. Around this part, 3, 5. You kind of like look at Raquel and like go like this. Like, what does it really mean?
Oh, I just was like acknowledging her existence.
Like peace?
Yeah, no, it wasn't even like, oh, I wish you peace. It was just like, hey, Raquel, how's it going? And like,
Oh, okay.
this came to mind.
Okay. I thought you meant like 2 minutes or something.
Oh, no.
Okay. Okay, since you've been the executive director for NSU for the past year, did you already know some or most of the students that were taking the class?
Actually, I only knew a small handful. The majority of the people taking the class are people I've never met before, or I've encountered once. They're just really visitors or new people. So usually, sometimes for workshops, I will know the majority of people, like the big dancers, but for some workshops, because people are, are home or away, it's just like whoever's in LA for the summer.
Okay. Yeah, you guys seem to be very like casual and informal with each other, so I was just wondering if like everyone was already in the club that you were kind of in already, and you all like knew each other. Does that work?
Some not really. I think especially for class environments, they're very casual, and a lot of times people who've never danced before or have never been in the UC dance community. So we do our best to really be, like friendly with them so that they feel comfortable. So it's not like, oh, it's like a formal thing. Because we're in a parking garage and we're all conscious, so kind of turns that environment.
Okay. Do you think our presence in the dance area while you and the students were performing like affected your performance or confidence at all?
I think for some people it could be like, oh, if we're being filmed, we should put on our best performance. For me, because I knew your purpose of being there, it was more educational, so I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about it. But usually if people are filming, I think I do tend to heighten my performance because I know this is being documented and you can have playback to it, as opposed to just like a fleeting moment where you experienced it and that was it. So I think for some students, but for me personally, I knew your intentions though.
Okay. And like, do you think like they were following along better because we were filming, and like was everyone's performance like the same as usual, like to you?
To me, I think it was because it's more of a learning environment. I don't think many people. I mean, I think some people knew you were there. I'm not sure if everyone knew because it's just a lot of people and they're like focused on learning the dance. In my opinion, I think everyone just performed how they would taking a regular workshop.
Have many of the students have had prior dance experience?
It varies. It depends. Not everybody has dance experience. I think a good majority has had dance experience, but some people like never danced before and just want to come out and try it.
So it was a mix.
It's a mix, yeah. It's a mix of experience on this picture.
Okay. Do you know how many like total students there were?
I can pull up a picture. I think there was roughly, 30-ish, 20 to 30-ish. There's a lot of people. I remember seeing a lot of bodies, so I can't give you an exact number. I can pull up a picture and count them, but it's a lot of people, big turnout.
Was it like a larger or smaller group than usual?
Well, for me personally, I taught a workshop last year, and there was significantly more people this year. So I think it varies from the workshop. I think it depends on the publicity that the team really does via social media to get more people to come. So I think this year there was a lot more visibility for our workshop, which is why there was a big turnout. But it varies. Sometimes if it's like during a finals week or like a Monday or like a time when people are busy, then there'd be less people showing up. But I mean, I think it was was it Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday. I think people knew it in advance. That's why a lot of people.
You told them in advance?
Yeah. So we tell them like month, weeks in advance that
the workshop and to save the date.
Oh no, like did they know that they were going to be filmed before that day?
No. The only person that knew was Jeffrey, who's the executive director now, just because to make sure. So.
Were the students learning the choreography to prepare for some specific group performance, like in the future?
No, this is just a strictly a class where you learn the dance and you perform it then. Sometimes there are workshops or there are rehearsals where you do practice to rehearse for something, but for a summer workshop, it's just a one-time thing.
So they're just there for like their personal enjoyment and their hobbies?
Yeah, they're just there because they're free or they want to dance or they want to check something out, so various reasons.
Do you think the amount of space that you and the students had in the parking lot was sufficient to teach the dance?
I think for a parking lot, it's not bad. It's not the optimal performance space given it is a parking lot and you are outside and outdoors and a lot of foot traffic, so it's gross and dirty. But I mean, for a collegiate team, it's kind of you have to make do with your resources. So it's not bad. It's pretty spacious. But I mean, ideally, I'd be in a studio with mirrors and restroom space.
So do you prefer like a smaller, bigger, or like more circular area where everyone's like more like, together and concentrated?
Not necessarily like the shape of the room. It would be optimal to have a dance space, not necessarily a parking lot where you're just taking the territory. But yeah, I mean, I like teaching a lot of people because I feel like it challenges me more as a teacher. It challenges students more because there's a lot of bodies, and so you kind of have to keep yourself accountable.
Do you prefer like a closed room or like a spacious room that echoes your voice?
I think for me, because I have a non-voice, it doesn't really bother me. But I mean, in general, it would be nicer so I didn't have to like strain my voice in there.
Okay, do you think the meeting times are sufficient or appropriate for like the skill levels of the students?
I think it is because we try to do a nighttime where it's after dinner, but time when people would usually go out. So it's not too late, but it's like not too early. So I think starting at 8 is an optimal, like a prime time.
So like 2 hours a week for like every week, 2 hours a week is like sufficient.
I mean, it varies on the workshop dates, but I think it's pretty sufficient.
Are the students encouraged to interact with each other both inside and outside the classroom?
Definitely inside because it is a learning experience and everyone has a shared experience, so it's nice to vibe and learn from each other. Outside we do try to encourage that just because we don't want to leave it as like, oh, we're just a class and we're leaving, to like, we can bring it out. So that's when we, after with these workshops, we like usually go out to get dessert or boba or something. So we do try to encourage both interaction inside the workshop and outside, but again, some people obviously go, some people have homework, so.
Do you form like study groups or like?
Yeah, we do actually. Sometimes we have like, oh, we're going to study before and then go to the workshop and then some after. So, I mean, it kind of does revolve around the workshop time, but there are things to do before and after.
And you definitely encourage like people helping each other during class.
Yeah, I think the whole part of class is to learn from each other, not just the teacher. Because I know when I take class, I learn from people sitting next to me. Like I'll be inspired by the way they move, the way they pick up things. So I think all-inclusively it is a learning experience, not just the teacher and student, but also among students themselves.
And so lastly, are the students encouraged to interact with you both inside and outside of class?
Yeah, definitely. I think there is sometimes a separation because you're teaching and you're learning that, oh, you can't really interact. But I would argue the opposite because I think as a teacher, I want them to ask questions. I want them to, if they need me to clarify things, and also to interact with me because I love to see like who took my class and I want to thank them for giving them their time. It's one for me.
Yeah. So yeah. Do they like set up office hours with you or?
Oh no, it's not like I'm like a professor. It's just like I am a student who happens to be teaching, and if you have questions during class or you want to like see me afterwards, that's no problem. But it's not like a formal thing. It's very, very casual, very informal.
If they need like individualized attention, like what could they do?
They would talk to me or ask me like, hey, I did. What was your advice about doing this dance or like moving a certain way? But I would not go up to someone and say, oh, you should do this, do that differently, if they did not ask me for their help. So it's basically like a give and take relationship.
Okay. Do you think face-to-face interaction is important for the students to learn the dance, as opposed to you like facing your back to them?
I think both. I think when I face it back, I'm facing the same way so they can see where the movement should be. But when I turn around and actually have a conversation with them, I think it breaks that barrier and that wall of like, I'm teaching and you're learning right now, and it's like a more communal space.
And how do you know when you can move on to the next steps?
So I usually be transparent with the students and I say, you know, like, did everyone get it? Do you need me? And if someone doesn't get it or people have some questions, I would break down the movement. And then when I get a general consensus that everyone is okay and right to move on, then I will proceed with the dance.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Unless you have any questions to add. Just your comments.
My personal comments as a teacher is that everyone learns at their own pace. Some people pick up really quickly, some people not as fast. And that's okay because everyone is different. It's just a matter of being patient, especially for me as a teacher and they're a student. And I know for me when I take class, I mean, I pick up dances fairly quickly, but sometimes I just have like a brain fart and I really don't know what's going on. So I like it when a teacher is patient with me and slows down the movement and breaks down the musicality so that I feel more confident as a student. So it really is, it really feels like a game because it's like you want to move on, but you can't because you have to like, you know, hold a step back. But it's okay because I think it challenges me as a teacher and it challenges them as students. But ultimately, I learn so much from them just as much as they learn from me.
You take turns. And
Yeah, like I like to learn and see how their body responds to the movement and how they interpret what I'm saying, and also the way that they feel it. Because sometimes, you know, I will feel music a certain way, and it will prompt me to move to replicate that, and sometimes people feel it differently. So it's just interesting. That's why I like to have some moments where there's dancer's choice, because I want to see how other people interpret it and how other people execute it, which is sometimes similar, but for the most part very different than me.
so everyone's movements and like actions influence your teaching style and what you teach.
Yeah, I would say so, especially because, you know, there's a blueprint, like this is the choreography, but obviously bodies are going to be read differently, and they're going to interpret differently just by the way they move naturally. So it's interesting to see how it'll look like on me and as opposed to someone else. So I learned a lot. Especially my roommates, they inspire me because we all move very differently, but I'm inspired by their movement and they're inspired by mine, which is why I have the Jeffrey movement and et cetera, yeah.